Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
yes, sir. We have the city of Newberry. We have Mayor back with us.
Yes, sir, if you don't mind, I'd like to introduce Ms. Fortune, as she is new to Newberry.
Okay.
Speak a little bit of her background, just speak just a bit about the Opera House. Go ahead.
No, sir, go ahead.
All right, thanks, sir. The Opera House is an important and historic building. And like an old house, an historic building has to be kept up. We're fortunate that the new executive director of the Opera House, Molly Fortune, has many talents, including being an expert in historic preservation. She is a graduate of Converse College and received her master's in historic preservation from the Savannah College of Art and Design. Prior to coming to Newberry in 2015, Molly worked at the famous and historic Fox Theater in Atlanta for 15 years, where she held the position of Director of Restoration and Operations. In addition, under her leadership, the Fox started an outreach division that worked with theaters across Georgia in historic preservation. Before working at the Fox Theater, Molly worked for the U.S. Department of Defense as a cultural resource specialist in historic preservation and programming at Fort Stewart and Hunter Army Airfield in Georgia. She also consulted on buildings at West Point and the U.S. Naval Academy. Molly has much experience in historic preservation. The Opera House has an issue, and Molly's going to tell you about it, and we thank you for considering this for CPST selection.
Thank you, Mayor. It's a pleasure to speak with you this evening, and being someone that a lot of you are not familiar with, this is a true pleasure. The Opera House is in the business of creating authentic experiences, happiness, if you will, for all of our guests through what we call and what we've coined gracious hospitality. It's a world-class service for a world-class venue that hosts world-class performances of all types. While providing this gracious hospitality, we also try to provide a comfortable environment. I will say that this room is doing a superb job as I'm freezing. But we also supply not only a comfortable environment, a visual feast, and a relevant equipment as well. And one of the ways we do this is through the very, very sexy HVAC system. So our request is to be included on the ballot for a dehumidification system. And we're going to try to resolve the issue of too much moisture in the air during the spring, summer, and fall seasons, and the lack of moisture in the air in the winter seasons. This is causing not only a comfort issue for our guests, both front of house and back of house, but it's also causing the degradation of finishes through paint, through furniture, through lighting systems, through the steel grids, all of which this community paid over $5.5 million invested in this building 18 years ago. They're intangible, but they are directly related to the humidity. So the history, I started here September 1st, 2015, and I walked in about a week later and noticed that my paper was rather limp. There's nothing like limp paper to start your day. You can't write on it. You can't really do much with it at all, as a matter of fact. Here's a picture of what happens. This is dried out and now it's warped. It's nothing like handing in a warped piece of contract to those in New York City. It doesn't exactly speak of gracious hospitality. So immediately I started asking around. I called actually to the next office. Is this an issue often? Why, yes it is. It happens all the time. Wait until winter. You can't touch anybody because you have sparks flying. So I immediately got in my car and I drove to the nearest department store, hardware store if you will, purchased a mid-size dehumidifier. I empty that thing 3 times a day, every day. Even in the winter, I emptied it once a day. So I started doing some observations. I don't know why this is not acting up again. Matt, if I can have your assistance. We're going to go to the observations and conversations. During my investigations, I began to talk to staff, and I began to talk to performers and guests of all types, maintenance workers included. I walked around, noticed the telltale signs. Some of the telltale signs are related to exactly that. There is no mechanism on the HVAC system to deal with air and the humidity within the air. Matt, go ahead. This is a great example of a women's restroom sign. This is a direct result of the inability to remove moisture in the air. Go to the next one, please. Those beautiful plaques that denote those people that gave so much of their time, energy, and effort and money These have started to wear down. If we were to replace this wall to look as it should for those donors that gave Komatsu's, the Summers, the Wisemans, it would cost us roughly $20,000 to $30,000. This should speak Newberry when people walk in. To go to the next one, please. This is what happens to furniture. We've all had this happen, right? The veneer comes off your great-grandmother's wardrobe. You can't put it back on very well. If you go to the next, please. Then you have peeling paint. This is a huge issue with Gracious Hospitality. You have folks that are coming in from Prosperity, Greenville, Atlanta, Asheville. As a matter of fact, at the Pink Floyd concert, 80% of the audience was from out of town. They were in Asheville. So you're starting to see this, and they're starting to see the wear and tear. Go ahead. And then in the wintertime, this is honest to God a performer that came, that did this experiment for me. He was able to put 3 balloons on his head because we have no system to be able to add some water back during those winter months. Now, the dry issues, they can cause actually bigger issues safety-wise because you get a spark, you get a lot of hairspray, and you're going to have bananas Foster, basically, is what's going to happen. And the other thing that happens is that you have guests that have allergies. So if you have too much humidity in the air, you're going to get a lot of runny noses, and it can start to cause an asthma attack. If you have dry conditions, you're going to get inflammation, which can cause some serious issues too. So it's patron comfort, it's their safety, it's the degradation of finishes, the steel, the lighting. We've already replaced lighting as it is. It's pretty easy to fix. Go ahead, please. The process is just like wringing out a mop. The air is drawn in. It goes through some basic silica packets. It's a wool, actually, for this particular system. It throws out great conditioned air. We say that word, air conditioning. Conditioned, it has the proper amount of new air exchange, it has the proper amount of humidity. All the particles has been taken out that need to be treated. It leaves that through hot air. You walk past your system at home and there's hot air coming out. That is the dehumidification process. Conditioned air has gone back into the building. We are aiming for a 35 to 50% humidity level within the building. Right now, when I left, it was around 75 to 80% humidity. Go ahead now. This is the system. It's really sexy. It's a box. And it goes on top of the current air handler unit. And it will filter the air. We can set it. We are on a system that we can go into our computers, set the humidity according to the weather conditions. And it also can get it within roughly, 1 or 2 points, which is not discernible to the human. Here's the specifications. It is what it is. It's a package unit that goes on top of the HVAC unit. By doing this, it will prevent the degradation of finishes. It will prevent the degradation of lights. To have a world-class venue, as you do, that is known worldwide, and I can speak that it is, we need to keep these things up. It's our responsibility to do that. It's our responsibility to our performers, it's our responsibility to our guests, and those that paid for that $5.5 million restoration. Matt, go ahead. Again, the request is pretty just smart and to the point. We would like to have a box system put in on our existing HVAC system that would allow us to condition the air more appropriately. It would prevent the dreaded M word, mold. That is going to happen. I can guarantee it. It is going to happen if we do not start to take care of the air that our folks are breathing. We're not just, and if you want to go ahead, another one, please. We're not just the local venue. We're a nationally known venue in preservation circles. You are internationally known through the venue management circles. You're known in Australia, believe it or not. There's some folks in Japan that know about the Newberry Opera House. And performers want to come, the Oak Ridge Boys. They want to come every year. We have guests, many here, that want to come every year. We need to ensure that that is a world-class, authentic experience and take the steps necessary to preserve the venue and to preserve the integrity and also the health of those that are working in the building and those that come and visit. It is our responsibility to take care of it for the next 100 years, which is 3 generations. We're asking for $155,000. Are there any questions?
What condition is the current HVAC system in, notwithstanding the humidity problem?
The current HVAC system is in excellent condition. It can handle the addition of this unit. There will be 2 units added to both HVAC systems. It will include a damper system, which allows us a lot more control.
How long has this problem existed?
From my research and from my talking to staff and me being new, make sure that lens is over at me being new, this has been a problem for at least 8 years, if not longer. Historic buildings worked as a system before the air conditioning was installed back in 20 years ago. These buildings worked as they should have. So when you install new equipment, you are disrupting that system. So you have to take care of it in another way. This, for some reason, whether it was overlooked or not taken care of, is just a consequence of modern technology coming into a historic building.
If it was noted 8 years, the board didn't seek any type of solution for it at that time?
I can't speak to that. I can only speak to my last 6 months, that in my conversations with the board was unaware that it was this serious of a problem.
In this, this particular humidifier, is it gonna remedy, how about the damage that's done? You pointed out the plaques and you pointed out the peeling of the paint. Do you have it programmed in this $155,000 to do any?
To fix any of those issues? No. This is just to remedy the situation. It will stop it right now. If we did a deferred maintenance situation, we're looking at about, and it exponentially increases, you're looking at about $1 million worth of damage in 4 years. So $155,000 versus $1 million. We can go back very easily. The things have been mitigated over time. So the lighting has been replaced over time. That is done. The finishes definitely need to be addressed. They can be addressed in a phased process. The plaques can be addressed in a phased process. Adding this box unit, this dehumidification, that's a one-time. If we keep going forward, it's going to increase exponentially, the damage. Does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
I hate to break your trend. This is one of those this is bare bones. We're at the opposite end. We've done the most value engineering we can to prevent further damage.
In other words, you don't fall in the category, can you phase down?
Only if you like to have your heating coil installed in your house first, and then the fan a month later. No.
Question from any members?
There is no mold yet. Any mold in the building yet from the situation?
There is. It is not particulate mold at this particular point in time. It is mold growing on the finishes. And staff does spend time wiping down those. Anything else I can answer for you?
Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Good to meet you, too.
It's a pleasure meeting you.